The first 2 months of the year, I was able to complete 5 centuries, so I started off March with 10 in the bank. But my plans were interrupted for doing 5 more in March by snow in Minnesota and even more snow in Colorado. So I ended up doing 3 centuries only, the 2nd, 16th, and 30th. The century on the 2nd was a ride I led with the Almaden Cycle Touring Club from Santa Cruz to Monterey, 108 miles and only about a little less than 5,000 feet of climbing. That was my 11th of the year. This is the route. I've actually done this twice this year. I've probably done it 15 times in the last 4 or 5 years. I love this route and I love going to Monterey. Not too much climbing, kind of a lumpy ride. And here I am at the beginning, cranky old bastard, taken by one of my friends, Andrea. And here's Andrea right here, leading the crew, followed by Barry and John and Art and many more. It was a beautiful morning in Santa Cruz as we were riding out. We went right through the Santa Cruz boardwalk, heading to Monterey. Here we are at the Dream Theater at the California Monterey Museum, and this is my crew. Rode down there with me and got a good shot of them. Not a big crew, but it was still March 2nd. It was still kind of cold. On March 16th, I did my first ever Oklahoma City century from Piedmont, where my son lives. I went east and north and south and west, 100 miles, 2,800 feet of climbing, my 12th century of the year. It's kind of a box formation there. It was plotted out by my son, the Navy chief, and it was kind of a lumpy ride, not too much climbing. The roads were long and sort of desolate. No other cyclists were seen at all that entire day. Here's a nice big ranch with lots of critters running around that you don't really see in this picture. And here is downtown Cimarron City. Beautiful downtown Cimarron. Here's my son and I in Kingfisher having lunch at mile 70. And I don't know what that crazy pose is I'm giving, but this young girl was willing to take our picture. She did a good job. And then here we are at the end. My son, Chris Parker, Navy Chief, drove a SAG vehicle for me all day, and he would go up to the turns and wait until I got there and then leapfrog me to the next one. The next century was at the end of the month in Georgia. I rode with my brother and Dan Reinagel, my brother Todd. We rode to Alabama on the Silver Comet Trail, and 106 miles, 2,500 feet of climbing, my 13th lucky century of the year. It was a very flat ride on the Silver Comet Trail, and we also were on the Chief Ladiga Trail for part of it. And here's the route. Not too much climbing, kind of a lumpy ride again, but it was basically an out and back with lunch in Piedmont. Here's the trail, and there's many pictures made like this, but I only kept a couple of them for this shot. In Piedmont, Alabama, here we were having lunch at the mile 53 mark. This is my brother Todd as we're heading back to Georgia, and Dan, his buddy, also on the way back to Georgia. We started and ended at the Rambo Nursery in Hiram, Georgia at mile 16 of the Silver Comet Trail, and had a good ride, and it was very nice weather that day. Got lucky, but only my 3rd of the month. I really wanted to do more. In April, my plan was to ride 5 centuries again, and as I'll do in my next video, I'll tell you how that worked out for me. I didn't quite get a total of 5, but I'm still on track for 52 for the year.